Welcome back to another UFC fight prediction video. In this video, I'll be predicting the main card fights for UFC on ESPN 13, Kattar versus Eag. So without further ado, let's get to our first fight on the main card. So this might not be the first fight on the main card because these cards are always switching up so much and fights are falling out because of COVID and because of whatever reason. So these fights be switching up. But I'm just going to assume that the Jake Shore versus Aaron Phillips will be the first fight on the main card. It's not on the card in any position yet, but I'm assuming since there's only 3 fights on the main card right now that they're going to up this to the main card. But yeah, so the first fight we have is in the bantamweight division, Jake Shore versus Aaron Phillips. So if anything changes, I'll just predict the other fights on the prelim videos. When those fights jump up to the main card, just look for it in the prelim prediction video, and I'll have it in the prelim prediction video, and I'll probably put a link in the video itself, maybe in the description, maybe in the comment section, but I'll link you so it's not like you just out of the loop. But whatever the case, let's get into this prediction. So looking at Jake Shore versus Aaron Phillips, I could really go into detail about what Aaron Phillips does and his style and all of that, but it really is irrelevant at this point in this fight, or as I see it in this fight, it's irrelevant. Aaron Phillips is probably like a regional level fighter. He has some decent skills and all that, but I just think Jake Shore is just a much higher caliber fighter. And in his last fight, it's literally his very last fight, Aaron Phillips, this looked like he was tailor-made for Jake Shore. He was dropped several times. His opponent took him down at will almost, or it was, not the most effort. And now you're going against a guy that can strike way better than the guy you were fighting, the guy that can strike way better than you, and then a guy that could take you down, put you on the ground, and put you in the same position. Like he was giving up his back, he was getting rocked, getting dropped, getting his back taken, getting chokes almost sunk in against him. So you're getting that against a lower tier of caliber fighter. Now you're going against a higher caliber fighter than yourself, like a standout prospect that could be a future contender, maybe even a title challenger, maybe even a champion, this level of fighter. And you have these flaws and you're getting dropped and taken down and your back taken by this low caliber fighter. Now you're going against a guy that's I already said it twice, but basically I see Jake Shore just having his way with Aaron Phillips, piecing him up on the feet, dropping him or taking him down, and then submitting him in quick order. So in this fight, I have Jake Shore via first round submission. Now to our next fight we have in the featherweight division, Chris Fishgold versus Jared Gordon. So Gordon is originally a lightweight. Maybe he was a welterweight, maybe he was a heavyweight before, but as far as I know him, he was a lightweight. And now he's dropping down to featherweight to fight Fishgold. And Fishgold is like 1-1 in the UFC, debuted and got a big matchup in his very first fight. And was, they just gave him a real bad matchup, and Kattar just went out there and sparked him in the first round. Then he went out there to beat David Tamer. I don't know which one's the good one. I could be getting mixed up, but the lesser Tamer that's probably should be out of the UFC by now. So give me win almost in that fight. A fighter that doesn't have the best grappling, you're a solid grappler, so you're supposed to win, and he went out there and won. But when I see Fishgold versus Jared Gordon, to get to the point of this one, Fishgold has decent striking, but his striking is more so means to an ends. It's not like he's so good on the striking that's his own. That could be something he could just be a striker. What he really does, he strikes good enough so that he can get pressure you and go for takedowns, then enforce his grappling upon you. So yeah, he just tries to force his grappling upon you. Now he's going against Jared Gordon, who has solid takedown defense. It's not statistically wise, it's not the best takedown defense, but look at the caliber of opponents he's fought. Like he really fought some top-notch lightweights. Yeah, some top-notch lightweights in like Charles Oliveira and Carlos Diego Vieira. So he's fought some top-notch lightweights. Like not just, a guy that's top 20, top 30, but like guys that are really threats for the title and guys that have been more than proving themselves in this division against some of the best. So he didn't fight no snowflakes. Or he didn't fight no cans. With Fishgold, his only win is over a can in the UFC. And really, I'm to stop beating around the bush. I think Fishgold needs to get it to the ground to win this fight. And I think Gordon has the grappling and the takedown defense and the ability to either defend the takedown or be able to get back to his feet and really deal with Fishgold's grappling. I don't think Fishgold will have the most success with his grappling in this one. I'm not saying it will be shut down, but I'm saying I think Gordon will have an answer or will be able to respond well to it. Now, I think on the feet and overall in the fight, I think Jared Gordon, Gordon is a high-paced fighter. He goes out there and averages like almost 100 strikes a fight unless he gets finished. So this guy is a high-paced fighter. Like I think last fight or his last win, he landed like 176 overall strikes in a 3-round fight. So this guy is a high-paced fighter, high-intensity cardio machine, and he puts that output there. He's not going to just have good cardio and just be, fresh through all the fight. He's going to use that cardio and put a high pace on you. So I think Gordon will be able to deal with the grappling of Fishgold. I think he'll be able to use his size to be the bigger fighter out there. That ain't going to defeat him just overall in the fight. I think Gordon just going to be outworking Fishgold this one. Neutralizing Fishgold's main strength and his main avenue or the avenue he wants to go to. And then putting a high pace on Fishgold and making him embrace the grind and just outworking him to a decision. Still think it's competitive, but I think Gordon really at this level of caliber fighter, he can outwork any of these fighters. And really even at the higher level, just that he can outwork some of the higher level fighters or a lot of the higher level fighters. They're just better than him. That's just the cut and dry. Like he can really outwork probably like 90% of UFC fighters at any weight class. But can he beat them? But this fighter is like around his level, around his caliber. And he kind of more of a one-dimensional fighter. He can neutralize his one dimension and just outwork him and outpace him. Just put that, like I said, put that grind on him. So in this fight, I got Jared Gordon via decision. Now to our next fight we have in the welterweight division, Abdul Razak Alhassan versus Moner Lazzez. Whether I got his name right or wrong, that's for a later thing. Maybe when I see it, I might get it right. But right now, that's just how I see it. So looking at Moner Lazzez, he's a long fighter with a good frame. He got some good technique. He got some promise to him, but he's definitely not as good as he thinks he is. I think at one thing he said he can beat any welterweight champion out there right now, and he definitely can't. It's all like nice to say it, like if you can do these things, but when your only wins are over guys like 9-4 and 4-9 and 2-4 and 4-2, that's like your only wins. You haven't beat nobody of note, and even then you didn't look the best in beating these guys. You're really just tooting your own horn because you really ain't done nothing to be talking as much as you've been talking, or at least even mentioning that. But it's always good to look at yourself as better than you are, or at least to where you want to be. But it certainly ain't where he's at right now. And look at him; he has a long frame, but he's one of those longer fighters that don't use their frame too well, like at the best. Like, I'm not saying it's as bad as Stephen Struve with his range, but not too far off. Like you're that long, there's no way a shorter guy should be beating you that often with their jab. Should be beating you that often to the inside. It should be like they should be having to fight to get in on the inside to trade. Like you should be the one dictating, like for the most part, who's the one landing the shot. You're the longer fighter. The range fighter should be fast, be sharp, be on the outside, chewing them up, jabbing them up, peppering them up, teep kicks, leg kicks, just chewing them up, feints, throwing them off, and it's like really not allowing the shorter person to get on the inside. But I seen him fight like a non-notable smaller fighter. Like a fighter like that's not even a big win. And that fighter was able to land head kicks repeatedly on him. And also another thing about Moner Lazzez, he'll keep his hands up, but it's like it's good to keep your hands up, but also you gotta remove those hands to block certain things, like move those arms to block certain things. Like you can't have your hands up is good, it's better than having them down, but if somebody's throwing a hook, block the hook. You don't just have your hands up, you gotta still block. Just having them up alone isn't blocking. So opponent do the head kick several times and he didn't do the proper defense to block head kick. Like he didn't move his arm, he didn't put the elbow up, he didn't get that little what's that little curve or whatever. I don't know how the exactly way to say it, but he wasn't doing what he was supposed to do. That head kick kept coming around and almost hooking around his neck. That same shorter fighter was able to get on the inside of him repeatedly, and he really like the fighter was. It's not like that. The fighter was like moving, doing like has such good like bobbing and weaving or was swaying and evading his shots and getting on the inside. He literally was not doing no jab. He wasn't moving his feet. He was just allowing his opponent to come in on a straight line and get to him. And a shorter fighter, like he probably had like 5-6 inches of height over him, and he was allowing him to get on the inside. But to get to the point of this one, I think Abdul Razak Alhassan, he's not the greatest fighter, definitely not, but he packs power. He has wins over some solid fighters, and he's been in there with some higher caliber fighters, and he has wins over higher caliber fighters, and he has power. And Moner Lazzez, though he's tall and has some good attributes, there's definitely a lot of flaws in him, and he definitely needs a lot of work, and I don't think he has had that work yet. So like I said, defense is a big factor. Now you're going against a power fighter of a higher caliber with speed and power. And like, I can see if he had was using that reach and that he could be a real big threat to Hassan who swings those big shots. But you're not going to really be good at defending. You're going against this heavy-handed fighter. You're going to play right into his game. So tall and lanky, but your defense is trash. And you got this fighter that's going to come in on you and swing these big these big hammers at you, and you're not going to be defending right. You're going to get knocked out. And I see that what happened. And I see Abdul Razak Alhassan just pressure him, make him go straight back. Like, well, really, it's going to be this his own defense that pushes him straight back. Like, he could circle out, but it's for some reason, like I said, his defense is not there yet. Like, he needs some work. And that his tendency to go back versus that power puncher, not move his hands and block like he should, not throwing enough output out there to keep the short opponent out there away. It's going to allow Hassan to get in on the inside, land those big shots, and put him away. So in this fight, I got Abdul Razak Alhassan via first round TKO. Now to our main event we have in the featherweight division, Calvin Kattar versus Dan Ige. So I got his name right for once. I always been calling him Kattar, but it's Kattar. But how I see this fight right here. First off, I think Ige lost his last fight against Edson Barboza. They just gave it to him. How you get dropped like twice in a 3-round fight and get out struggled. Like, he was definitely landing some good shots, but then getting dropped and almost finished in 2 of those rounds. I don't see how you win the fight, but they gave it to him. But how I see this fight. Dan Ige has some solid striking, but I think Kattar is the better fighter. He's a longer, bigger, faster, sharper striker, and he has solid takedown defense and solid scramble ability. So I think Dan Ige is one of his, I guess his biggest edge in this fight would be his grappling, but I don't see him having success getting the fight to the ground. And also, it's not like a fight where Ige is the more I think Kattar is in better shape than Ige. Well, it's not like Ige is out of shape. I think Kattar is just one of the fighters that's in very tip-top shape. He has cardio for days. Like, he's big, he's powerful. Like, he almost, like, you could say, maybe this guy's on EPO, how he can push such a high pace and cut so much weight and be so big and so strong at his weight class, yet still have phenomenal cardio for this weight class. I think, like I said, I think Kattar is bigger, stronger. He's in better shape, better cardio. And that's not to say that Ige isn't good and all that stuff. I'm just saying I just think Kattar is just better in those areas. And I think Ige's real strength will be his grappling. I don't think he'll be able to get it to the ground. I still see it's a good fight because Ige, like I said, even when he was getting dropped by Edson Barboza, he never flaked in that fight. He never got hurt and said, "Oh, I'm just going to just panic wrestle." I mean, he did kind of shoot some takedowns, but it was like the point where he just completely disregarded his striking. At no point he just like, "I'm just going to try to get a takedown, lay and survive." At all points, he was fighting his fight. So I don't expect Ige to lay down. I expect Ige to bite down his mouthpiece, but I feel like Kattar will be able to jab him up, exploit his reach, exploit his speed, exploit the fact that he's a better striker, exploit his footwork, exploit his boxing technique and his boxing advantage. And like I said, just chew Ige up, outbox him, outwork him, stuff his takedowns, and then I think take him into the later rounds and stop him in the 4th round. So in this fight, I got Calvin Kattar via 4th round TKO. And that concludes my fight predictions for the main card of UFC on ESPN 13, Kattar versus Ige. And as always, thanks for watching.